Hello Neverwinter. Here we have the long-awaited How to Tank Master Lair of the Mad Dragon final boss. It took a while for me to get this out, mostly because previously this boss was so glitchy that it was impossible to actually complete it really without it glitching out in some way, and I did not want to advertise those particular things, so I held off on doing it. You will find as a tank for this one a couple of items will be quite useful. One of them is the damage reduction ring that you can pick up from the dragon hunts, and the other one is the scroll of protection from dragon, which you can also pick up from those hunts. And there's also the ancient scroll of protection from dragon, which you can't farm anymore but is available on the auction house. As we go in, you might notice I'm not using KV. That's because the hitbox of the dragon is so large that it will not connect to the DPS unless they stand in a dangerous position, and the last thing you want to do is to have the DPS stood in your KV when that dragon takes a big swipe at them. So the first thing we do is go and fight for aggro during the arty call. Make sure we've got hold of that. Important thing to notice is that these little poison circles are always followed by those candles. And those candles can spawn in various different positions, but they usually spawn at 3 different levels, from inner to mid to outer. When they spawn in the very mid, only the outside is safe. Or rather, when they spawn in the very inner, only the outside is safe. When they spawn in the mid, then the middle and certain gaps of the middle are safe. And when they spawn on the outer, only the inside is safe. The biggest thing we need to worry about on this is the breath attack. That delivers a incredibly damaging debuff, or incredibly harsh debuff that will absolutely rinse out tanks. And our strategy here is to hold him sort of on the edge of the platform, but not too far at the edge. We want him to be facing us along the edge of this hexagon. This is so the DPS can get a relatively safe position and we can deal with the breath attack like this. So the last thing we want is that breath attack to be blasted out across the arena. We want to make sure there's at least some safe space for the DPS to go into. Incidentally, due to the weird collision detection on this dragon, at least if you're a dwarf, I don't know if it works for the bigger character models, but as a dwarf we can actually run directly into the dragon's character model, and that will stop us from getting hit by the breath. For these candles, you can often use the geometric nature of the arena here to determine safe spots. So when the only safe spot is the middle, then you can go to the middle hexagon, position yourself on one of those points, and that will be a safe spot. I can help you sort of pre-position it so he's not blasting into the DPS. Incidentally, that ground attack he does stuns you, knocks you down, and he does have a habit of doing it just as the candles pop up, so you need to either shield up for it or be fast enough to dodge it. When it is this sort of middle position for the candles, you'll often find that it's safe on the outermost point or the outermost center of the hexagon. It's something you can just be aware of, so you know that when the poison pops, the candles will pop, and then you need to move to a safe position. And of course the other side of that is trying to make sure that wherever you position yourself, his follow-up breath blast that he does is not going to then be aimed at the DPS. Once he gets past 50%, he's going to start doing some more frantic and random mechanics. That was one of the recent tweaks that they made. And his movement is incredibly unpredictable. One thing you might notice is that when he's in the middle of his flip, if you move fast enough, he will reorientate himself to whatever position you are in. So if he flips over and you can manage to turn him so that he's facing into the wall, you can save everyone a lot of hassle. This red blast here is basically the same one as a Dragon Hunch. You can just shield up through it and the DPS can just iframe it with a dodge. As you can see there, that is what I would consider a very good position to have the dragon in during that phase, so that he's taking a line that is not directly in the path of the DPS. And as you can see there, you can, if you're fast enough, you can just switch his position in slightly whilst he's flipping. We're having to use a lot of various different fighting for aggro tricks that you don't usually have to use if you're using KV, but when you're dealing with some pretty strong DPS, you gotta bring out the old school tools, like the retaliate, 2 hard taunts, Manticore's main. Once he gets down to around 20%, he's going to start doing that white noise blast, which shouldn't be too bad on the tank, provided you haven't picked up a load of debuffs. It's obviously still very damaging to the DPS. I think they may have tweaked it recently though, so the damage is a bit lower. But this video was recorded before that tweak, so I haven't had a chance to check that out yet. This is unfortunately another dungeon where it's going to be easier with a shielder, so Paladin or Warlock. It's pretty unfortunate, but that's how they've decided to do these things. I'm sure once people's item level gets up a bit, it'll be much more viable with a non-shielder. And then as you can see, we're using a Black Death Scorpion here. That allows me to put him into positions that are somewhat awkward, and then the DPS can still get the combat advantage because of the Black Death Scorpion. And there you go. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a like. If you like a lot of videos, please subscribe. Thank you to the Dreadnoks team, and take it easy everybody.